Display. 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 There's no brightness. John, is there a way to dim the display?
Yeah, the button's on the display. I don't know how to do it within settings.
There are buttons on the display that dim the display?
Yes.
Where?
Just change the brightness level.
Where's there a brightness level at? Jesus, look at that. There's a brightness level. Holy God. This has actually been a problem for a while, and I've just been living with it because I couldn't figure out how to dim it down.
You could also just turn nightlight on.
I don't like nightlight.
Oh, never mind. Don't turn nightlight on. I was just kidding.
Hey,
how do you know that? Why would you not like nightlight?
Because it makes it like that orange color, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't care for that.
Well,
don't
you're
judge
wrong.
me.
I'm just saying you're wrong.
Oh dear God. Do we got tweets out? This is gonna be a heavy drinking episode. Here we go.
Yes.
Retweet.
1, 2, 1, 2. Coming off the top, y'all know how we do. Listen, I'ma drop a freestyle you can cherish. I'ma send a shout out to the host named Eric. Yo, he's never on some average shit. You know Eric, he stays loud and passionate. I'm about to break it down for y'all with the clever song. Yo, shout the host named Thomas, cause he's never wrong. And shout to John, you know that he's smart and quiet. Unlike my freestyles, which cause a riot. I'm about to do it like this, cause the people love me. Shouts out to PHP, the ugly. It's ugly cause it's not professional, but I'm about to come through and bless it with style. So let's do it when I'm spitting, I perfume the room. Yo, the segment of the show is called Doom and Gloom. That came from Thomas. Yeah, can nobody go beyond this? I get the mic and then I'm about to keep it like a promise. Yeah, and y'all know we fill them up with anguish. We talking about the PHP, the programming language. About to break it down, no exaggeration. What do y'all do for a living? Web applications. Okay, I can dig it. My words spray tight. They getting together on the Thursday nights. Yeah, when it comes to rhyming, you can call me the new dude. I spew true lyrics while y'all broadcast on YouTube. So let's get it. You know my lyrics are major. All up in the comments, they got plenty of haters, but they doing what they doing. Keep it ugly. We ending every show with the saying it's lovely. Let's go.
You telling us to shut up?
He's drunk again. Don't forget Zencaster.
No, I'm not.
He so doesn't want to be here.
I am so ready for.
Please stop the feedback.
Please.
Thank you. You were going to talk,
Yay.
Thomas?
We'll get into it.
Okay. I'm gonna move my Discord over too, I guess. Let me see what the peeps are saying in Discord. Discord! You ready for this? Anybody in Discord?
Not if they're smart.
We got Buttery. We got Joe.
Buttery Joe.
Buttery Joe.
Buttery has been a Patreon supporter for like 3 years now.
Yeah, it's embarrassing.
Clearly,
hold on.
he's forgotten his password.
Is that the right word?
All right, let's start the show. This is good material, man. All right, let's start the show. You're listening to episode 270 of PHPUgly. Your one-stop shop for everything BOS related. So all your top BOS stories, this is where you want to be.
What's BOS?
BOS? Got it? Yeah, I'm your host, Eric Van Johnson, and with me is John Congdon.
I'm still trying to figure out BOS myself.
And Tom Write-Up.
Birds of Song?
I don't know.
You guys don't really know what BOS?
No,
BOS
really.
Almost changed the entire course of Apple Computer. So BOS was an operating system that was being developed
Oh,
BOS.
BOS. Yeah.
DE. What do you think I was saying?
The letter B,
I-
the letter O, the letter
Yes.
S.
No,
Like a
let-
POS, but a BOS.
BOS.
not 30 seconds ago. Not 30
for
seconds
any
ago, Eric
listeners out
said
there
Thomas has
who aren't-
something to talk about, and then leads into
for any
this
listeners out there who don't know the story of BOS. BOS was an operating system that was being developed. I forget when, back in the 90s, I guess. That was, rumor has it, slated to become the new OS of the Mac. And again, as far as I know, it's just rumors. Apple was in negotiations to buy BOS to make it the next operating system when I guess the BOS owner or CEO got greedy and wanted more money than Apple was willing to pay. That's when they decided to pivot and go the next computer and get Steve Jobs to come back to Apple. And had that not happened, you could be running BOS on your Macs right now, and you wouldn't.
And BOS, EOS was x86 compatible and ran Windows binaries.
What am I saying differently? I'm saying BOS. And you're saying BOS.
Yeah.
It's BOS.
BOS.
Don't be a dick.
BOS. Say it again. BOS.
So I've started a new liquid diet. I drink until I get so drunk I don't care how fat I am.
I got complimented today. Someone asked me how much weight I've lost, and I said, "Well, I've been tucking my shirt in differently." And he said, "No, I don't think that's it." And I said, "Well, the scale disagrees."
My joke was funnier.
What, BOS?
God damn it! What did you have to talk about?
BOS.
There was something you wanted to talk about before the show started. You wanted to just roll over everybody.
At this
I
point,
think he wanted to apologize for last week. I think
I don't know who any of us are because we haven't been properly introduced.
he just said it. He just went through it.
You really just don't pay any attention to the show at all, do you?
What I meant to say is, I owe some apologies. If you watch on the live stream, you will have noticed that there are some inconsistencies in the video encoding. The intro video has this problem where it skips around a little bit. Just because I'm playing a video on my ancient computer. But
isn't it like a year old?
This is my project for the weekend. The Ryzen 5 5600X. I am doing a full system upgrade on this here media management computer.
Didn't you just get like a brand new video card last year and we're like all excited about it?
That's my gaming system.
Oh,
and that was also 3 years ago.
Okay. Right.
This whole COVID thing, I mean, as much as I'm not impacted by it because I've always preferred not leaving the house, I'm amazed at how people are able to lose entire years when trying to think of how long ago something was. When you think of when did this event happen? Recently, everyone I know has been wrong by a year.
Didn't we talk about this 3 weeks ago?
Yeah.
I was going to give it to
a
him
year and 3 weeks ago. Yeah. That's what I'm talking about. It's crazy. Yeah, I dropped about $500. I'm going.
He's right. It was actually 2019. We did that.
Yeah, it was.
It was a couple years ago, actually. Like 3 of them.
No, it's
no,
real
2.
Weird. It's real weird. I dropped $500 because I got a bonus, and my whole workstation here is getting a nice upgrade. Technically, my gaming platform is getting a nice upgrade, and then my workstation is getting the leftovers from my gaming platform. But whatever works.
Or you could just have one machine that does it all.
Says the guy who has 12 cameras in his child's bedroom.
You can't be too safe.
I should mention this
I think the number is
podcast
10.
is sponsored by our friends at Hook Relay. More on them later in the show. Just want to kind of cue that up, put it in the back of your head, give you something to anticipate, something to look forward to. Eric, you say, what is Hook Relay? You're going to find out later on, but you have to listen to the whole show, and we'll get there.
Or at least the first couple minutes.
Yeah, you don't have to listen to the whole show. No, we would never do that to you.
How's everybody doing?
Good. Been a crazy week, and I got a question for you. Having working on a big feature, and you have a ton of files in that feature branch, do you try to break it up for reviewers, or do you just say, screw it, I'm going to open a PR of 75 plus files and let you deal with it?
This is a very specific point of frustration for me. So in Jira, you can issue a PR, and the PR will show you all of the commits within that pull request. And if you go to those commits, you can approve one commit at a time. You can say, this commit, yes, this commit, no, this commit, yes, whatever. But that has no relevance to the pipeline for approved pull requests. It's just like you just flag a commit as Tom approved this commit. But when you go back to the pull request, there's no indication that Tom didn't approve this this commit of this pull request. And I have a friend who cherry picks all of his commits into these sort of nicely shaped commit logs where you pull up one commit and it says, this is stuff that affects existing code. This is introduction of new code. This is the merge of both of the elements together. And he's really, really good at it. But when it comes down to the pull request, that doesn't matter. Like, we just get
Can you
one.
have your friend write an article for a magazine that might be interested in topics like this?
He works way too much already. I will ask him. But
there you go.
I will tell you that the right way to do this is to build your feature and then cherry pick into commits that have purpose. And I know I've said this a million times, but Mercurial did this really well. Mercurial, you could switch between branches without having to commit. In Git, when you switch branches, you have to commit.
No, you
and
don't.
Yeah, you do. Well, you can stash.
So that's interesting because I actually have something about that on my Trello board. But we'll get back to that. Go ahead and finish your 45-minute rant, Tom, because we don't have any other topics to talk about. But go ahead.
Well, I ask because this happened to me this week, where I've been going down this rabbit hole, been building this feature that, I've already built pieces of it. And then as I'm doing end-to-end testing, I'm hitting rabbit hole after rabbit hole. I'm like, oh, I should change this. I should change this. So it became a mixture of a major refactor, new code, a ton of tests. So when I looked at it, I realized it was 75 files. I freaked out, and I'm like, well, let me open PRs with types of files. So I opened one pull request that had a bunch of commands, and I opened one PR that had a bunch of handlers. The problem with doing that is some of those pieces interact with each other. So,
right. Then they have to be merged in a certain order.
Right. Not necessarily merged in a certain order, because from the feature branch, all the files were unique. It was just more of that when you're reviewing one set of code, you're missing other pieces. So it looks like broken code. It's like, oh, this is referencing a class that doesn't even exist. And on top of that, CI won't pass because it's missing a bunch of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But my goal was obviously make it easier on reviewers. You're reviewing, 10 files versus 75. But somewhere along the way, I got highly confused, and somebody tried bringing in all 6 or 7 PRs to do functional tests on it while waiting for code review. And it just blew up. It was like, no, not going to work. Screw you. And it was frustrating. Part of it was I got feedback on one PR, made a bunch of changes to it, which affected 2 or 3 other PRs. So I was like, oh, crap. Now I got to remember to go do that when things are ready. It was just frustrating.
Well,
I just don't know how to segment that out well.
My new PR methodology is I won't review something that doesn't pass tests, right? That's step one.
And that's our normal stance as well.
Right.
You don't assign it to somebody until it's past CI.
So
to at least
step
prove that point.
Step 2 for me is review the tests that were added to the PR.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, first off, know what the intention of the ticket is. Second off, know what's being tested in the ticket. I go through the tests, and if there's something that I think is missing or is too obtuse or too oblique, not testing enough, then I say there's a test missing for this case. That I leave that comment in the PR. Once that's addressed, then I start looking at the code. So it's sort of the opposite of TDD. Well, it's not the opposite of TDD. It's TDD for PRs.
But are you guys using something like BHAT or doing some sort of behavioral testing, not just unit testing?
No. And
I think that's one place where user stories would benefit, right? You have a user story, so you can test the use cases.
Well, our user stories are in the ticket.
Right. That's what I mean, though. If you're doing...
So step 1 is to review the ticket. Step 2 is to make sure that the tests match the user story.
Right, but your tests are unit tests, are not user story
they're
tests.
unit and functional.
Okay, so you do have functional testing that is testing the business logic laid out in the user story.
In Laravel, a unit test hits a class, like an instantiated class.
Mm-hmm.
A functional test hits a route endpoint.
Right. Okay.
We're on the
same place there.
So there are functional testing frameworks that test more than just hitting the endpoint. But Laravel is very good at faking endpoints. So you sort of don't have to. Now, very good and very bad. When you're doing functional testing with Laravel, the middleware gets skipped. So if you're developing a middleware to do something, then the Laravel functional testing is actually quite bad.
So Ben Ramsey in Discord. And if you're interested in joining our Discord, go to discord.phpugly.com. Mentions that all of his PRs go into the main branch. They don't do feature branches. And for the most part, we do the same thing. Everything actually goes to a develop branch, and then that gets merged into the main branch. But occasionally when there's something like this, again, 75 files, wanting to bring them all into one place for a good testing case, good functional testing, that's the only reason I open a feature branch. We don't do.
And if you're in our Discord, make sure you give Ben Ramsey some love. He's up late tonight because he just released PHP 8.1.2, which is really just a long list of bug fixes. Clearly, because he did a poor job with his last release. So,
Oh my god.
yeah, he had to sample late.
Oh my god.
So make sure you give Ben Ramsey some love in there. Let him know that we appreciate him fixing his mistakes. And let's move on. I'm actually
Ben,
really
we love you.
excited. I had a client reach out to me today and asked me to do some work on their code base, and they specifically wanted me to implement enums in their code base. I'm like, hey, that's like an 8.1 feature. He's like, yeah, I know. We're on 8.1. And I've got to tell you, one of the things I love the most, and it really only holds true with this one particular client because other clients think they're on the same level and they're not. This one particular client is really close. I mean, is basically a developer, but he's current with his skill set and really understands like what's going on in PHP, what's going on in Laravel, and knows specific features that he wants and how they need to be implemented. So I was really excited to get the ticket. He's like, "Hey, I'm going to give you this ticket. I want you to implement enums on this code base." I'm like, "Cool! I wanted to do this, so I'm really excited."
And you had a client reach out wanting to buy a company, a corporate rate of magazines, right? Am I saying that right?
PHP Architect magazines, yeah.
You wanted to buy PHP magazine, PHP Architect magazines for the entire team.
Yeah, and if you're in a position where you're interested in buying PHP Architect magazines for your entire team or your entire company, I mean, really, reach out. We encourage you to reach out to non-PHP developers and just get them the magazine, see what they do with it. Reach out to John and I directly. We try to make it worth your while as much as we can. So we haven't implemented it on the website yet, so there's no automated way of doing it. But if you ping John and I, we'll work with you on getting that done.
Exactly. And it's something we want to build. The more companies that take us up on it, the faster we will build something to automate it.
This is very true.
We're up to a few companies right now, and it won't be long. Be like, I'm done doing this all manually. I got to do something here.
Yep. Actually, so you guys are talking about Git. Tom was talking about to change branches, you have to do a stash. Our good friend and Patreon supporter, Marianne Pop at Laravel Magazine.com, has an article out there about Git Switch, which corrects that problem, Tom, where you can now switch branches and not have to stash. And I believe if the branch isn't there, it actually creates it for you. I don't know because it's a new feature in like Git 2.2.3 and I'm on Git 2.2.1.
So you mentioned this the other day. You had something like Git Tree that did the same thing?
No. Git Tree is different. It's completely different. That's a whole different workflow that you should look at. Depending on your development environment, like for me personally, it doesn't work with my DevOps environment, but Git Tree creates folders for every branch you're working on, and you're able to switch. It's really
depending on which folder you're in, it depends. It changes the branch.
Right. So that's a whole different workflow. I think it's more for like people who work with like compiled languages and stuff. But I mean, it works for anything in Git. It just, again, the way my workflow is set up with my DevOps, it would be just challenging to kind of automate all that. So check out Git Switch. Matter of fact, let me throw this in Discord for you guys, or at least queue it up in Trello so it goes to Discord because I have that. I tried this today, and again, I'm a couple of versions behind on my Git. So yeah.
So you were specifically trying out the Git Switch, but realized you couldn't use it.
I realized I was a few versions behind.
Interesting.
So we got some bad news today, unfortunately. Well, I mean, I'm hesitant to call it bad news. I think it was a responsible move. I'm a little disappointed. We hadn't been talking about it a lot, but I was kind of queuing up to go to Midwest PHP in April. John and I had spoken about it, and I was in the background making a few arrangements. They're postponing. They're not going to be in April. They say they're postponing until June.
It's kind of good news.
That's what I'm saying. It's hard to say it's bad news because it's a very responsible thing to do. I don't know if 3 months is going to make a huge difference, but you can be hopeful that it will be. There's
an indication that it will.
I've heard this as well.
Like some of the math. The situation with the virus is shitty, and what's crazy for me is the venue stuff. Like how difficult it is to book a venue and get everything ready to go for an event like this. And I remember Wave PHP was like venue madness. Everything depended on the venue. And the last day we were there was like a quinceañera like in the hallway while we were moving chairs out. And I wonder what yes. But I wonder what this does to the venues. I don't care.
You've got to think they've got to be in the same position as they're probably just happy to have business right now. Like I would be surprised if they're having like the issue of overlapping business.
Sure. Well, but they're landlords, so fuck them. I mean, not that that's been like a point recently in the last couple of years, but landlords turn out not to be so great. Trying to double book things, just enforcing you out.
On brighter news, if you're a fan of Laracon Online, they announced that they are going to kick off this year's Laracon Online on February 9th. And the big plot twist to that is it's going to be free.
I was going to yell that over you just to piss you off and see what happened.
That's fine. Did you have it in your Trello board?
Yeah.
Hey, Eric, why don't we get all of our developers tickets to Laracon Online this year?
You know what, John?
You know what?
I'm going to pay for it. You know what, Tom?
No,
I'll include you. Matter of fact, everybody in our Discord will get tickets to Laracon Online. You're welcome.
I'm kind of excited about this, but there's some good talks. The first talk is actions are a dev's best friend. Actions is one of the things I've been focusing on lately, as far as like how to dry up a code base. But I was kind of wondering, like, how do you take time off for this?
What do you mean? I don't think you're meant to take time off for it.
Well, if I went to a conference somewhere, it's not PTO, but I'm like not in the office. I'm out of the office.
Yeah.
And for some of this stuff, I really want to like watch the videos and focus. So how do I tell my manager, like, hey, on this day, let's call it February 9th, 2022, I'm basically out of the office for the day. I'm watching.
I think that's kind of weak, seeing how it's a remote conference.
Oh no, I don't disagree. I'm just saying, how do I explain it so it doesn't sound so weak?
Well, I mean, you do that. You just say, hey, there's this conference I'm going to attend. It's online, so I can respond to questions through Slack or something if you need me to, but I'm not going to like do any real work. I'm going to.
No. Joe Ferguson in Discord is calling it a professional development day.
Exactly.
I think that's absolutely right.
Yeah.
How does someone get to our
Discord? They even say we've been through this, Tom. I really wish just once you'd pay a little bit more attention than when you're talking, but it's still what John mentioned earlier, discord.phpugly.com. But they even say specifically in this announcement, Tom, if you can't watch live, it's not a problem.
Oh no,
All
but I
talks
want.
will be recorded and available online for viewing at your convenience.
No, I know. I was explicitly omitting that part.
Well, that's an important part to admit when you're trying to slack off and take time off work. What the hell?
Is it?
Oh,
Yeah,
jeez.
just a little bit.
Speaking of Laravel, where's the Laravel 9 at? I thought it was supposed to come out in January. I'm excited about it because it's a pivotal. It's an important release because it forces everybody to PHP 8.
You really
So I'm
Porky
really-
Pig that one.
Really antsy for the. It wasn't. Was it Porky Pig? No, it was Elmer Fudd. Oh yeah, you're right. It was Porky Pig. Yeah. Again with the fat jokes, Tom. I appreciate it. Now I have to drink. See, this is how that liquid diet works. Every time somebody calls you fat, you got to drink.
That's the thing is we don't have a PHPUgly drinking game, and we absolutely should. Speaking of which, our sponsor today.
We'd like to thank our sponsor for this episode, HookRelay.dev. HookRelay.dev allows you to create powerful webhooks without having to create all the groundwork yourself. Sure, the basics of sending webhooks are easy, but to add more powerful features takes time and effort. That's where HookRelay.dev saves the day. Have you ever tried sending data to third parties that have strict API limits? Do you handle those failures caused by those limits properly using traditional back-off algorithms? Stop worrying about third parties with flaky servers and let HookRelay.dev continue trying to reach them for you. Resending failed webhooks, or just resending for testing is as simple as clicking a button. You can also be the recipient of webhooks. That's right, HookRelay.dev handles both inbound and outbound webhooks. HookRelay.dev can catch the request and then send them to your servers. And best of all, reporting. Writing code to track success failures, create reports, and more is already done with HookRelay.dev. Try HookRelay.dev's free tier today. Get 3 endpoints, 14-day retention, and 100 deliveries per day. Thank you, HookRelay, for sponsoring today's episode. He hit pause as he went to. Thanks, HookRelay.
Thank you, Hook Relay.
So what you didn't see was while that was playing, both of them bolted out and came back, and we were wondering if Tom like paused it by mistake, and we're like, "Is this still running?"
No, I posted in Slack. Oh no, I didn't.
It was
let me
totally
hit enter
over
real
too.
quick.
Like
know.
we had a good 5-6 seconds of silence there.
Yeah.
Thank you, Hook Relay. We appreciate
Thank you, Hook
your
Relay.
support. And now you know what Hook Relay is all about. You're welcome.
Except it turns out after I recorded that, we found out, oh look, there's this whole special URL you can go to where we actually get credit for it that we haven't put in there. So we
don't do that, do we?
Oh, you're right. I need to add that. I can add that. I can add that. No problem. I'll add that. Thanks for reminding me, John.
Of course we do that, silly.
So we have in our Discord, we have a little bot that lets you suggest titles for the episode, which I've been ignoring this episode because I get to talk about something that's definitely going to be in the headline.
Oh, God.
Today?
We have a number of external API calls, which cost us money every time we make an API call to this external service. It could be 10 cents, it could be $1, it could be $20. There are some API calls that cost quite a lot of money just to pass an inquiry.
You got permission to talk about this, right? Just getting that out there.
I did.
It's all been cleared.
I did. So a lot of these API calls, because they are HTTP clients, we run through jobs, Laravel jobs. And recently we switched over to Laravel Horizon and sort of thought nothing of it for a day. until we got a bill from one of these providers for $1.5 million.
Which, quite frankly, if you're talking about a 24-hour time frame, that should just be criminal. There's no way you should be able to run up a bill of $1 million within 24 hours.
Well, they cut us off.
something-
They cut us off at 1.5 and then
See,
sent
that's
us
bullshit.
an
That's such
email.
bullshit.
I'm not condemning any service providers here. I'm not
So
condemning any actors.
What was the outcome? Did they stick to it and
So it
or did they
appears
work with you?
it appears that what happens in most cases happened here, which is that there was a forgiveness for an error within our system. I don't believe we are being held responsible. Wow, the Discord, multiple people are talking. I don't believe we're being held responsible for that bill because it was the same request over and over and over again. But it did introduce an interesting problem for us, which is accounting for external API calls. Like, how do you prevent this from ever happening again, ever? And this is a situation that has occurred with a lot of startup companies. I mean, if you look at if you look up surprise AWS bill on Google, you'll get a lot of results. There's a lot of blog entries for enormous surprise bills. And our task this sprint is kind of make sure this can't possibly ever happen again. Now that means with any of our external services. And fortunately, all of our external requests are wrapped in a middleware that inspects the request before it goes outbound.
I still stand behind. That's fine. They want you to do some due diligence on your end, but I still stand behind that from a service provider should not be allowed. There's just no way. There's no way that should be allowed.
But from the point of it,
but
I am a service provider. How do I detect
if they
it?
were unique requests, like I was asking for your asking for 1 million people's information, that's one thing. But if I'm asking for the same 5 or 10 a million times, that's different. That's obviously we don't need that same information that many times.
You're high castling these service providers. They are software developers just like us.
Well, exactly. But
so when I send them 1 million of the same request, that the developers and the managers and the product, the stakeholders get together and say, how did this happen? Who do we bill for?
It's so funny. The one guy who says that he should never have to pay for anything is defending the company who wants to charge him $1 million for making the same.
Oh no, I'm not.
I'm
not defending them.
It's exactly what you're doing.
No.
There should be no way that can be possible.
I'm saying, as a developer, this is going to happen both directions. You're going to get hit with what appears to be an attack, or someone installing Laravel Horizon. I won't say that Horizon is malware, but holy shit, I saw this coming.
So how did Horizon factor into this?
I got two questions at once there.
No, you didn't. You got the same question. Buttery's asking the same question. How did Laravel Horizon cause this?
We have no
idea.
idea.
You saw it coming. Oh, you said you saw it coming.
Okay, so Laravel Horizon is a queue manager. And of all the places where I talk about Laravel moving too fast, like Laravel development moving too fast, Horizon is the place where I've had the worst impact. Where Horizon went out the door, doesn't have good support because it's an OSS product owned by Taylor, and is managing something that was previously managed by long-standing
But
existing
you're still not answering the
systems
question.
like
What
RabbitMQ.
happened?
We're not sure why, but Horizon is able to communicate with the queue manager and mark a job as failed, which means submit it back into the queue, but it also operates asynchronously, which means that if you load up the same job 5 times, mark it as failed, submit it into the queue again, and then there is a race condition where the queue gets marked as failed once, but it actually failed 5 times, then it exponentially increases the queue. So the same job is queued 5 times after the first execution, 25 times after the second execution, etc., etc.
Listen, as much as this is going to pain me to say, I agree with Ramsey in our Discord. In case you didn't know, Tom, discord.phpugly.com. I know that was your next question.
Yeah.
But if that company doesn't have a way for you to set a threshold, then they can't hold you responsible for something like that. If they have a way, that's not exact. What? Why is that bullshit? Why is that bullshit? That makes perfect sense. I mean, that's not exactly what he says, but I'm expanding on his idea because I'm a better thinker than he is. He just said that there should be a way to set a threshold. I'm saying that if the company doesn't offer a way to set a threshold,
I don't want to
hold you accountable.
I don't want to get into one of these situations where I say something and then you just don't talk to me for the rest of the episode. But
But I'm going to do it anyway.
The feature of rate limiting is extraordinarily complicated. The feature of rate limiting by user is extraordinarily complicated. And the feature of rate limiting by user with duplicate detection is extraordinarily complicated. So we're 3. No. We are 3.
Yeah. 100%. You don't have to do duplicate detection if you're able to set a threshold. If you send a million duplicate requests,
the company we're
fine.
talking about is accustomed to receiving hundreds of millions of requests per hour to their endpoints.
That's fine. Then you can set your threshold at 100 million requests.
Okay, that's a feature.
But my point being that if they don't have that functionality within their software, they shouldn't hold a company responsible for sending duplicate requests a million times.
Which they didn't.
Yeah, but you shit bricks until you found out that they decided to excuse you. They didn't have to excuse that bill.
No, absolutely not. It could have gone to litigation, and we could have made the argument that they didn't set a threshold limit, or
and you could have pointed to Discord,
or there was a configuration.
Or the show when I said
there was a configuration option that allowed you to set a threshold limit. We didn't set the threshold limit. We estimated X growth, and they didn't stop us. Either way, I mean,
either way,
we're getting into a territory.
You're blaming.
We're getting into a territory I explicitly said I wouldn't get into.
Hang on, you're blaming Horizon, but the fact is, it's probably not Horizon's fault.
It's 100% Horizon's
fault. Stop. Not necessarily. I use Beanstalk D as my queuing system. There, by default, if I don't set a time to run, it's 1 minute. If my job takes 1 minute and 1 second, it will run twice. And then if that runs again it's going to keep doing that. My assumption is Horizon's doing the same thing. Your response took longer to run. Okay, then what's the explanation? Is this still happening? Are you still sending 1 million requests?
We're not using Horizon. The step one was remove Horizon and return to RabbitMQ. And I can tell you the difference is that Horizon interacts with Laravel. Horizon tells Laravel this job did or did not finish, and Horizon, RabbitMQ, and Beanstalk D pull a record from Redis, execute it, and reinsert the record from Redis, whereas Horizon updates records in Redis. This is a fundamental misunderstanding of how job queuing works. Horizon updates records thinking that there is an atomic interaction, and Beanstalk and Rabbit pull and push records as an atomic interaction. And this is something I have run into in the past. And we did an offline conversation 2 weeks ago where I knew that Horizon was not trustworthy. And when the pull request came in to implement Horizon, I second guessed myself, and I shouldn't have. I should have said Horizon is bad.
Eric, correct me if I'm wrong. We use Horizon in some of our applications, right? And
You were wrong.
we haven't run. What?
You were
I'm wrong.
Yeah.
Oh, we don't
We
use
don't.
Horizon. We just use
No.
queues.
Mhm.
Don't use Horizon.
You don't know if we use Horizon or not. That's why I'm asking. Eric.
I absolutely do, because this shit hits the fan. First person I talk to is Eric. Horizon is a nightmare. Dude, we've had
I
this.
Can't say
No,
yes or
Eric's
no.
making. Hold on, Eric's making a face, and I have to focus on it. Eric, how many conversations have we had about how bad Horizon is? Just between me
But
and you.
I honestly don't have a lot of experience with Horizon. I played with it a little bit when it first came out. I never really had a need for it.
Not the
and
question.
Don't use it.
How
You
many
complain about it all the time.
all the fucking time.
That,
And every time I complain about it, am I wrong?
you complain about Vim all the time. You're always wrong on that. So I don't know what to tell you.
I don't complain about Vim. I just say it's dumb.
Jesus Christ.
Not
You
my
know what we
point.
probably-
Not
we
my
probably should
point.
do? We should probably, your point should probably be to thank our Patreon supporters or supporters on Patreon.
I don't think we have any.
Ben, end of day, he doesn't know what happened. He's
No, end of
blaming
day, I'll
Horizon,
tell you.
but
End of day, I'll tell you. Horizon updates records in the non-atomic transaction, RabbitMQ, and all the other queue management systems push and pull, which is an atomic transaction. Horizon should be pulled from GitHub. It damn near cost me $1.5 million.
you're gonna send Taylor a bill.
Yeah, so does Taylor. He just moved into a big new house. I'm sure he's got the money to.
Oh,
He'll take
you
care of
know
you.
who moves into big new houses? Assholes.
Yeah, no, man. Dicks.
I'm just saying, man. If anyone can get anything from this podcast, Horizon is a toxic fucking problem.
Wow,
And
you're reading a lot.
Is anyone in
into
Discord
Horizon.
using Horizon successfully?
Yeah, I'm
That
really
I want to know
curious.
because this is. I'm shocked because I would assume it's a much bigger product, and I still want to know, like, bottom line, what happened.
it is a free and open source product. So if you can fix it,
Oh,
Tom, maybe you should
yeah,
fix
you know
it,
that FOSS stuff.
yeah.
Now, the point of my story.
Oh dear God, that wasn't the point. You haven't gotten to the point yet. Jesus.
Now I have to make sure that every outbound request is unique within a period of time or reject it.
Okay, seems
Which
not
is-
that hard. It's caching.
Every outbound request. So
Caching?
interestingly, well, you'd think so, but a lot of APIs use OAuth with, let's say, 5-second lifetimes on their keys.
Okay.
So if I have if I have to make 10 requests to a specific endpoint, I call the OAuth for it every time I make that call to that endpoint.
Okay.
That's a duplicate
don't
call.
you- But don't you have the endpoint before you do that? Before you even care about OAuth?
I have the URL, but I have to give it a different.
Can't you?
Every request requires a different key. And
I'm
that
not
key
talking
is
about the keys at
acquired-
this point. I'm not talking about the keys.
But I am. That key
But why?
requires to fetch that OAuth 2 key requires another call to the same endpoint with all the same headers, all the same values
Okay.
to get
So you
the
don't
key
cache
for
that
the next
endpoint.
call. Right.
I'm confused on where the issue's at.
The issue is defining a middleware that knows when to cache an endpoint and when not to cache an endpoint. And defining a timeout for making the same call twice on an endpoint. It gets messy. You know, some of our authentication for endpoints is in the query string. Some of our authentication is in the headers, and some of our authentication is in the form data. It's like we have to build a universal manager for don't send the same thing 500 times when there is some stuff that does have to be sent 500 times. It's a very, very tricky thing. Now, fortunately, we're in the middle of doing a full logging system. So every external endpoint gets logged. What we sent and what we received gets logged to a secure endpoint, encrypted endpoint. But there's no package you can install that just says HTTP the HTTP client for Laravel has these rules to it. Do you know what I mean?
I hear you. I'm just in my mind, it doesn't seem overly complicated to put that in place. You have exceptions to the rule, your OAuth being one of them, but for the most part, everything else is cached within a certain amount of time, so you're not running up $1 million bill.
Well, I will tell you, we have 30 services with 500 external API calls, some of which are supposed to be executed hundreds of times a second, and some of which aren't.
Well, you have to selectively put the middleware in place, right? It's not like you're going to universally put it in front of everything. You're going to go through your jobs and figure out where you need it and where you don't, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's
so you know which ones you need to call 500 times a second.
Well, you say but I have to go through each service one at a time. Oh boy. Eric's looking like a Braves fan.
Oh, I'm sorry. Like I said, I'm just not that interested in project management.
Just don't fucking care.
This isn't project management.
You just drone on like it is. It's like the dumbest fucking conversation. We hit on all the important parts, and we're just still talking about it.
Well, move on.
All right. I got my diet shake here. I'm good.
You're still on that.
I'm gonna run with that one for a while. I thought it was funny.
Seltzer and whiskey, not a diet shake. I just fuck, Eric, man, stop looking at me like that.
Yeah.
To summarize, I got
Can I?
an enormous bill for calling an API too many times. And it is my onus, it is my problem to make sure that doesn't happen again. And there is an oddly lacking a library in place to make sure that doesn't happen again. Like you would think you go into Packagist and there would be some sort of outbound rate limiter, or even further than that. If you go into Laravel and you look at outbound, like you try to find something for outbound rate limiting, you don't find that. You find inbound rate limiting, but the queuing system is distinctly shit. And Horizon, for some reason, is even worse.
I want to go back to Eric was talking about an amazing client with he gets to work on enums and new features in Ramsey's 8.1. But on the other side of the coin, we have another client that has this wild idea. He's like, I want this new app. I have this idea of something I want built, and then gets way too involved. And it's frustrating where they're not giving us business requirements. And of course, Tom left, so he's not going to respond to this. But he comes to us and he basically wants us to think of the entire product, how to design it, what it should do. He's very vague. He's giving us like 3 vague points. And then wants to get involved in the architecture. How is the code going to be architected? What database services are we going to use? It's like, dude,
what do the queries look like? That's been a question.
This isn't how this works. We're the developers. Tell us your business rules. What's the use cases? Like, give us requirements. Let us figure that stuff out. And it's so frustrating. And we just can't get through to him. Every time we try to bring that point up, he's like, I've been burned on this too many times. I need to know, you've got enough information and I need to know the architecture is going to handle all this. And it's like, handle what? You haven't told us what to handle yet.
Yeah. I that's one of the things about running a development studio. You just deal with such a wide range of clients. And I mean, some are going to be difficult to work with. Some are going to be easy to work with. Like I said, some are going to know the technology inside and out, and some are not going to know it and are willing to admit that.
Which one is worse?
Well, the one that's
the middle
worst,
ground,
is the one who doesn't and thinks they do and wants to interject, the latest buzzwords that they heard recently. It's like, hey, yeah, I want to create this app, and it should have NFTs associated to it. I'm not sure NFTs really kind of factor into a reservation application. No, we can do NFTs. I'm sure of it. I read it on Reddit.
The funny part is he's bringing up technology that we brought to him in other projects. And it's like, well, obviously it's technology we know about. We brought it to you. We're using it. Like, we're going to use the right technology for the right use case. Give us the use cases and let us figure out if it's the proper fit.
Yeah, it's tough. It's really tough.
Well, I mean, it's
a project management nightmare? You guys could.
Oh, you want to talk about project management?
No, do not want to talk about.
Isn't that your dynamic though? No, for real. And this will sound like I'm being, what do they say? An asshole?
Sure.
But isn't that the dynamic between the two of you where someone is like, I want to talk these things, and John is like, we can talk about these things. And then when they're like, I want to be an asshole about things, you're like, hey, bring Eric on in. He can explain why
cop.
Yeah. Oh, no. But isn't it? Are you guys not good cop, bad cop with your business? Like with negotiating contracts?
I think that John takes a much softer hand approach to clients. I'm a little bit more abrasive. I'm very much like, I know what I'm doing. Get out of my way. Just tell me how much you want to pay for it, and I'll tell you how much we can do for that. And John is very, well, you know,
Okay,
let's
so
talk to him.
I guess the question is for John. Are there situations where you're like, fuck off and talk to Eric? Like,
No, so in this case, we got to that point where I finally blew up and I was like, to Eric's point, we can't do anything. We're going down the wrong path. We need
you just
we
said
need
to
business use
Eric's
cases.
point. You just said to Eric's point.
Right. He was right.
So like,
I give him credit when he's right.
Do you defer to Eric when you're like, I don't want to fucking deal with this guy?
I wouldn't say
Not to call you out.
If anything, I defer to John because again, I will. My gut reaction is to be abrasive, and so I will
You don't
know.
say.
I will know. Shut the fuck up, Tom. I'm talking. I will know.
I thought I was muted. Sorry, I thought you were muted.
That's building up, and I was a lot of times, even if I'm responding like in an email or something, I'll even post it to John in Slack and say, "Hey, I'm going to respond like this. You know, give me some feedback if there's any."
Okay, but
that goes both ways.
That totally goes both ways. Because last week, John asked you if it was okay to send this email, and you found out after you read it that he had already sent it. Like,
wait, which you
John,
he
John,
didn't
you
actually
were
wait for me to respond.
you were yeah, John, you were here, but he absolutely
I missed
he
that
got
part
an
of
email
the
from he got an
episode.
email from you that said, "Is it okay for me to say this?" And it was like blind CC to Eric, and then sent directly to the person you were talking to.
Now, in my defense, I asked him and he didn't respond for hours. And I'm like, I'm sending it anyway. there are certain times where I'm like, it doesn't matter. I'm going to send it as is.
I got
For
a
the most
question for
part,
you, John.
We're very good.
I got a functionality question for you. I want to get this in before we run out of time because a lot of people, a lot of people pay attention to the fact that you and I are both on Pop OS. We're very happy with Pop OS. We've been on Pop OS for a couple of years now. Like since the pandemic started, I think is when I switched over.
Yeah, it's 2
and you
years.
weren't too far behind me.
Mm-hmm.
No, I think it was only like 3 or 4 months, Tom, according to my math. But no. Anyways,
I don't trust the homeless.
I have been making not a concerted effort. I mean, like it's not like an effort, but I've been trying to remind myself to go to PHP Storm when coding a PHP project. Because I really kind of, especially as I was working remote, I really got into the habit of back into my Vim flow. And I recently upgraded my Vim configuration and I haven't gone in there and made my tweaks. So this last week, just because I've been lazy, I've been popping back over to Storm. Now, this is probably the first time I used Storm on a regular basis since getting my desktop back from you, which it's still sticky, John. I don't know what the hell you did to this thing, but it's weird. But I've been using Storm, but now, and in that time, Pop OS had an upgrade to the OS, which I have applied to my system. I don't know if this was happening before the upgrade because it's one of the first things I did, but it's happening now. Since that upgrade, when I'm using PHP Storm, I can't control tab over to PHP Storm and get it to get focus of the system anymore. Like it'll control tab there. Like control tab will tell me it's switching to PHP Storm. Like say I'm going from a terminal to PHP
command
Storm.
tab, but yes.
Yeah, you're right. Command tab. I'm sorry. I'll command tab from the terminal to PHP Storm. PHP Storm will look like it has focus, and if I start typing, it's going into the terminal. Are you seeing this?
Into the terminal?
Whatever the last application was, like whatever I was, the keyboard focus, and honestly, It sounds like we need to do a screen share. If you don't know what I'm talking about right off the bat, then clearly you're not experiencing it because
No, I use it all the time. I command tab over to PHP Storm, and I'm right where I need to be.
I've got it.
Fine.
Ping me tomorrow, and we'll do a quick screen sharing. It's not only command tab. It's also like the mouse. If I take the mouse and I click into PHP Storm, it still won't take focus. I have to actually click the toolbar above PHP Storm for it to actually get focus for me to start typing into it. It's the weirdest thing, and I'm happy to hear you're not having the problem because that means there's hope for me. I don't know why it's happening. I don't know if I have some sort of weird extension installed. It's driving me crazy.
You're tiling. That's the problem.
It might be. I wouldn't put it past it. My friend, I should turn off tiling and see if I still have the problem. If anybody's listening to this podcast, and if anybody's in Discord has experienced this, please let me know because it's driving me mad. And of course, in my head, much like Tom, I blame everybody else but myself. I'm like, see, this is why I don't use PHP Storm. This sucks. And I didn't even, it just never occurred to me that it's probably not PHP Storm's fault. It's probably my fault somehow. And nobody else is having this problem. I'm sorry. Did I make that about you, Tom? I apologize.
Well, I just think it's funny that a Vim expert can't figure out how to quit a behavior.
Bump.
All right. I don't have the sound effects thing. Hey, you know what the people love? Doom and gloom. Have you guys been following the 5G problems lately?
No.
Well, it turns out
around airports. Are we talking about that?
Yeah, it turns out that that the 5G companies, well, all the cell companies that are rolling out 5G, they bought the Class C radio space, but the sort of older altimeters and radio based flight navigation tools brought that space. So everyone's real pissed that America sold off that broadband space and didn't really clear it with anybody. So 5G rollout on the Class C broadband has been like halted straight up because it makes planes crash, which, not great.
Yeah, all I saw was that a bunch of big companies were trying to cancel their flights recently because of the whole 5G thing.
Yeah, the Emirates, a bunch of French companies. It's not great. And you know what? Thank you, John, for yes-anding my story.
Huh? I didn't mean it. Oh, what? I didn't yes-and. I know and.
The UK has rolled out its zero tolerance for end-to-end encryption program.
I'm so confused on your yes-anding. What were you talking about there?
It's an improv technique.
Okay.
Thought you were along with me. The UK government does not want end-to-end encryption on any application, which is, for people who develop web applications, fucking horrifying. Because what we do
that was the case. That was the case with the U.S. government too. They're trying to break encryption.
Well, breaking encryption is one thing, because we could just create tighter encryption. But the UK government actually created noplacetohide.org.uk, which if you read through the website, essentially says that child pornography is the only reason for end-to-end encryption, and we have to end it now. We have to stop end-to-end encryption because of child pornography. It is one of the most disingenuous and counter personal privacy things that's ever existed. I mean, like, it's really horrifying to see a democratic government publishing this kind of stuff.
But it's not passed, right? It's just something they're considering.
Right, but
to be fair, the people that open
Brexit passed.
Yeah, but
like
to be
it
fair,
doesn't
the
matter
people
how
that
bad an idea it is.
The people that bring bills to the table don't always understand everything that's going on, and that's their one thing is child pornography. So they're grasping onto that, and they're trying to bring a bill forward that will stop that, not realizing the impact it has on everything else.
Well, and that's the thing, is that my personal perspective is that whenever a government program comes up that says, "Won't you think of the children?" my immediate response is no. Now, because
my immediate response is, what about churches?
Well, but children are being abused, not just by the Catholic Church, but by like government entities trying to use them to gain control.
Okay, this took a weird turn.
A hard turn, yeah.
All right.
So while you guys were talking about whatever you're talking about, I wasn't paying attention, crashing planes or whatever. Discord was fixing my problem. You can take the Vim thing down. Don't take off your headphones. Where are you going? Oh my god.
Now we see why we can't be monetized. So thanks to our Patreons for supporting us when we do things like that.
Thanks, Patreon, because we have problems. So
we have problem getting monetized.
Yeah,
advertisers don't like
right,
us.
Tom. Gee,
oh, thanks, bud.
I've got to change this diet, man. It's just you're right, John. In Discord, you were partially right as well. It does appear to be tiling related, which is really sucks because that's how I manage my Windows now is tiling.
See, I can't figure that out.
I don't know what there is to figure out. It's pretty straightforward, but it took me a while to get used to it as well. It was suggested that I turn tiling, or I mark the PHP Storm application as an exception to tiling. That doesn't work. So if I turn tiling off, it works just fine. If I turn tiling on, even if I mark PHP Storm as an exception, it still doesn't work. And this is a known issue now. There's an open issue. Thanks again, Discord, for caring about me. There's an open issue in GitHub for this on Pop! OS. So hopefully this gets addressed, because I've been using tiling for years now, and it hasn't been an issue. So this has to be something that's recently happened. So hopefully they fix it. Until then, God, I don't know. I might have to turn tiling off when I use PHP Storm, which is really going to suck.
Ben asks, what is tiling? Because I can't get I kind of understand it, but I can't get it into my workflow.
Yeah, so it took me a long time to understand it, to appreciate it, and now I can't live without it. So all tiling does, I think it was originally designed for like laptops, but it works on desktops as well. It's just a window manager that makes sure all your open windows are displayed on the screen. So it just tiles your windows so that everything is visible. Now, that sounds horrible, and in most tiling solutions, it would be horrible, but Pop! OS has something called stacking. So when you can create stacks on top of tiling. So I have tiling, and then as I add windows, I can stack them so that they're one behind the other, but everything is still tiled out. So it really takes a while to get used to from a workflow
It is a
perspective.
nightmare, Ramsey.
It's not a nightmare. It feels that way.
Dude,
it's like Vim it's like non-Vim users trying to use Vim and talking about how terrible it is because they don't use it and they don't know how to use it. This is very much like that. It's challenging to get your head around initially, but once you start using it, it's hard not to use it. Like you
can't quit.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Once you're into it,
humor.
I would kill for a good default tiling solution. I have 2 ultra wides, and the way that I manage my windows is well, it's like a guy who grew up on a console. I need something to fix my windowing problem because it's everything is stacked on. I mean,
there's a whole lot of tiling people in Discord right now, so I expect a PHP Architect article very soon about the benefits and how to use it properly.
I posted a YouTube video in Discord. Well, yeah, that YouTube video that just posted to Discord is about Pop! OS tiling. I don't know if they talk about stacking. I mean, stacking is really kind of goes hand in hand with the tiling. Like, I don't think I could do it without stacking, but yeah, it's check it out.
Well, I posted a picture on Discord of my current like Windows over Windows over Windows stack, and it's like I need help because this is awful.
I just constantly command tab. Like I leave my.
It's not about it's not about command tabbing though. It's about visibility to your windows.
I usually have a side by side. Like I have either 2 browsers side by side. My IDE usually on my full vertical monitor, and then for me it's just command tab to what I need.
But that's the thing. So what happens when you want like a third window open? You want to be able to see that, right? Like I just posted, kind of what my window is now. Typically, the Spotify. So Spotify would be an example where I would have a stack. So whenever I have like, whenever there's a window that's taking up a quarter of the screen, I will typically create stacks. So like Spotify, I would have Spotify, my to-do list, Discord, like a bunch of things that I don't constantly need up, but like things I like to cycle through, and you cycle through them the same way, command tab, that doesn't change. But it's just like it basically utilizes 100% of your screen real estate. And so your screen is always being 100% used. What you want visible on that 100%, like I could have it 100% used and have that whole screen be a stack if I wanted to. But it's just about utilization of your screen space. There's the entire real estate is used.
Not to bring things back to, programming, but I actually had a meeting this week where the terminology it got so confused, where people were talking about stacks and tiles and tabs and subtabs, that I said, we have to stop this whole meeting. Someone has to pull up a picture and put names on all of these things. And what you're looking at, you posted a screenshot of a stack.
I posted a screenshot of tiling. There's no stacks there because I just turned on tiling. So I have to recreate.
So this is what I'm saying is that these kinds of conversations are really great if everyone is on the same page, but the terminology of a stack versus a tile versus a component, like we get caught up in this as architects, as data architects, we get caught up in this shit so much.
No, I think there's a certain personality type that does. So John was asking me
Wow.
to explain it, and
Calling me out.
we're explaining it. I'm explaining tiles, and I'm explaining that there's another concept called stacks that, for me, go hand in hand with tiles. So explaining something is not kind of going down a rabbit hole of terminology. We're explaining stacks and tiles and the difference between the two.
But isn't terminology like the global language, the way we all understand anything? If you skip,
so
if you
anyways,
skip-
back to the high level. If you're curious why you use tiles will utilize 100% of your screen real estate for you automatically. So if you launch two apps, it'll launch two apps side by side. If you want only one app on your window at a time, you would stack those two. If you only want two,
I turn it on and it's got like teeny tiny little squares all over the place. I'm like,
that's
that
the
doesn't
problem.
work.
You really have to turn it on when you have few windows open, because like just now I turned it off to test that PHP storm issue and discovered that that was the issue. When I turned it back on, my screen was an absolute mess, because just exactly what you talked about. I have like 50 windows open, which in a normal circumstance, I manage perfectly fine with my stack, with my tiles and stacks. But because I didn't have a chance to define my stacks, it initially does everything as a tile, which is one of the gripes a lot of people say about tiling. It's like, hey, if I enable tiling, I want it to remember my stacks as well. And when I enable tiling, I want you to automatically start stacking for me. But it doesn't do that. So when I turned it on, it was a disaster, right? I had like 50 windows open and they were all being tiled. Now they were all using, I have 3 screens here and they used all 3 screens. But I mean, my main screen just had some small windows, so I had to clean it up. So typically you want to start tiling. If you're going to use stacks, you start tiling with a few windows open, then you start defining your stacks, and then it's not a problem.
How do you clean it up once you're in this state? Or are you going to close everything down and then restart?
I'll just restart. I'll restart it when it reboots. I'll just have to start the whole tiling stacking process again. So it doesn't, it will remember like I have certain windows open, which is fine, but it won't automatically go into tile mode for me. So it never restarts with like 50 windows open. I think when it restarts, I have Slack open, Chrome open, and I want to say like Telegram and Discord might be open as well. So I might have 4 windows open, which is no issue to tile. So it's yeah, that's not a problem. And shutting down apps is just the same way. You command tab to it, you queue it out, and it's gone. Or you just close it when it's open. It's not a big deal.
Maybe I'll try it again. Probably not.
It's one of those things that once you get the hang of, you really miss it. Like if it goes away, like that month I was on my Mac, I was really missing my tiling system.
Just buy my
I'm
monitors.
on board with I'm on board with John right here. Like 10 monitors, what's the problem?
I except for the fact that I tried putting a third onto my machine and everything slowed down and I wasn't able to do things. So
did you hook it up to your GPU?
Yeah, it's the wrong. You're on the wrong port.
I got 3 monitors, no issue.
Okay, so Eric, you won't appreciate.
You also weren't playing Rocket League.
Eric, you won't appreciate this, but since John plugged the monitor into the wrong port, there have been like 20 videos on YouTube about like, hey, when you get a new computer, make sure you plug the monitor into the right part of the computer. And I know John has seen like 4 of them on Linus Tech Tips and just felt super bad about it.
No, not at all. No.
There was one today that was like, hey, when you buy a new Intel system, plug the video in right.
No. Didn't see it.
Hey, and with that, I'm pretty sure we're done.
Yes.
You know what
We
that
can
means?
be done.
We get to do the Harry Mack dance.
Oh, all right, Eric, close
Let's
us out.
end the show first.
Do your
All right.
thing.
Thank you for listening to episode 270 of PHPUgly. We appreciate you, and we thank you for being a part of the show, our people in Discord. I'm Eric.
I'm John.
I'm Tom.
You sure about that? Keep it
Keep it ugly.
Keep it ugly.
1, 2, 1, 2. Coming off the top, y'all know how we do. Listen, I'ma drop a freestyle you can cherish. I'ma send a shout out to the host named Eric. Yo, he's never on some average shit. You know, Eric, he stays loud and passionate. I'm about to break it down for y'all with the clever song. Yo, shout the host named Thomas, cause he's never wrong. Yo, shout to John. You know that he's smart and quiet, unlike my freestyles, which cause a riot. I'm about to do it like this, cause the people love me. Shouts out to PHP, the ugly. It's called ugly cause it's not professional, but I'm about to come through and bless it with style. So let's do it when I'm spitting, I perfume the room. Yo, the segment of the show is called Doom and Gloom. That came from Thomas. Yeah, can nobody go beyond this? I get the mic and then I'm about to keep it like a promise. Yeah, and y'all know we fill them up with anguish. We talking about the PHP, the programming language. About to break it down, no exaggeration. What
So
do y'all
excited.
do for a living web application?
So fucking
Okay,
excited.
I can dig it. My words spray tight. They getting together on the Thursday nights. Yeah, when it comes to rhyming, you can call me the new dude. I spew true lyrics while y'all broadcast on YouTube. So let's get it. You know my lyrics are major. All up in the comments, they got plenty of haters, but they doing what they doing. Keep it ugly. We ending every show with the saying it's lovely. Let's go.
Eric, you coming over to play poker in a couple weeks?
You don't have to ask me twice.
Dude, he already said he
John.
lost
Jesus,
too much
just
money
ask
last
me
time.
once, man. You sound desperate.
Nobody else gets that joke.
No,
He likes your money.
apparently. Thank you. Yeah. No? Here we go. Got it?
Oh man,
I don't know. I'll see.
I am very excited about this upgrade on my editing or my streaming machine.
Interesting.
It's gonna be good.
So I'm sorry, I already forgot who suggested this. For whoever suggested making PHP Storm an exception, I did do that, and it does not seem to be. It doesn't.
Is
seem
this the
to be
tiling thing?
Yeah, it doesn't seem to be taking
Yeah,
it.
because it's
like.
Yeah, because it's Java. You have to make Java the exception.
Oh, interesting. It looks like it's making an exception down to the file that's open. No, it's not Java. That's not how you do it. Let's see something. Yeah, it's really weird. Yeah, that's not working. That was a good idea. That's not working, unfortunately. And it's even a stranger behavior when I have it enabled like that. So there's something. I do think you're right, Tom, in the sense that it might be Java related.
Yeah.
But also, now that
it runs
you bring
on
it up,
5 billion devices.
I think I'm starting to suspect it has something to do with the 3 monitors. Because another issue I've had with my tiling is it might not be a tiling issue, but I move my windows around using my Vim key bindings. So I don't click and drag. I move it using my Vim key bindings. And since going to the 3 monitors, occasionally, it doesn't always happen. Occasionally, I get a behavior where it won't allow me to move a window over to a monitor unless I click and drag it with a mouse. So I don't know what the issue is, but it's frustrating as hell. It is
Looks
super
like you need a new Ryzen graphics card to run your third monitor instead of trying to use the same.
I need one big monitor now. That's what I need. Just screw this 3 monitor thing.
I'm telling you, two gigantic monitors is pretty nice. But two computers too. I have my work computer on one ultra wide and my personal computer on one ultra wide. It works out well.
But are you like the 49-inch ultra wide? I've been considering an ultra wide. I just haven't actually gone there yet.
Yeah, that's what I've been thinking about getting as well.
Get monitor arms.
Yeah, monitor arms.
Like
You're not savages, Tom.
Get whatever monitors you want to, but get monitor arms. Like,
yeah, see,
that's
now
the
everything
difference.
is fucking not behaving, and it's because
We
I
have
turned
monitor
off
arms.
tiling.
I've got monitor arms just sitting on my floor down here.
Yeah,
I'm
you
too
also
lazy
have
to
like the
move
world's
them.
most ergonomic keyboard on your floor.
That's true.
Oh my fucking god! I should have never turned tiling off. There we go. That's looking better. Oh Jesus! All right. All right. So you're not.
You did it for the content.
Did it for the content.
Dude,
That's a
did you see
problem.
the breakdown of YouTube Shorts versus YouTube Longs?
No.
Like an 11-minute video with 600,000 views monetizes to like $60,000, but a YouTube short video with 6 million views is like $15. Dude.
And
Well, we're YouTube personalities. We should care about this stuff.
we can't monetize our stuff because you guys curse and flick each other off and yell at each other.
Fuck you, Tom. Fuck you,
What?
John.
That
Sorry,
is
Tom.
not.
That was
No.
that was a Freudian
We're-
slip there. Sorry about that.
Okay. To be clear, it's not because of that. It's because we're grossly unpopular. There's a difference.
Well, there's that too. That's yes.
Oh my god! What did I do? Now my terminal won't tile. I think I accidentally set that as an exception.
For real.
Bye, Ben. Thanks for joining us.
For real.
Hey Ben, go screw up a PHP core some more. Appreciate you. And send me my pictures, you bastard.
What about
Do
your
not-
response to your
Ben,
email?
Ben,
Don't
I
you
do
want
not
that more?
condone his behavior at all.
Did you get your response you were looking for?
I think you are
Yeah.
a skilled author and developer, and I don't condone any of the things.
Ben,
that Eric has to say about
that's
you.
coming from a guy who doesn't know how to throttle his own APIs. So you know.
True.
My God. Okay.
Ben, I'm
need to
assuming you're
start
looking at you have the 27-inch LG 5K.
47.
Sam, I'm not on board with that.
No.
Oh, Eric Mann just subscribed. What is wrong with you, Eric?
We are the worst streamers.
That's their thing, though. It's okay.
I'm
It's
not
okay.
on board with anything Eric says about release schedules or included features. Eric is
You are
fundamentally
He is so drunk. He's barely completing his sentences right now. Go ahead. Keep talking, Tom. We're enjoying this.
You broke him.
I know. I was going to pick on you today, Tom, but I didn't. You need to be appreciative of that.
He was so bad. It's all right.
Tom's questioning his life decisions right now. I totally understand that.
totally. Yeah. No, I had twins.
Hey, all right, let's do a poll on titles here. Hold on. Let me see. Let me go to titles. We
Hey,
had a
Eric,
couple good
do-
ones.
Do you remember when you started that PHPUgly subreddit?
Yeah, I did that,
That-
a couple of years ago now.
That was a great idea. Wish we would have kept that going.
I know, I just didn't have enough time to manage it. So
No worries. It happens. What are you doing, Tom?
what are you doing, Tom? You're gonna kill Tom.
I'm combing my beard.
Oh my goodness.
Tom's $1 million bill. I'm a better thinker than he is. I like that one, Joe. I think I'll just make it. I'm a better thinker. A heavy sigh. I don't get that one, Joe. I'm sure that's how we start every show. It's time to go. Horizon is a non-atomic bomb. Ben suggested that, so it's automatically out of the running. So, Joe, I think I'm going to go with yours, but I'm going to modify it.
Whoa.
I'm a better thinker.
I chose to clear the conversation about what happened with that Horizon job duplication thing.
Okay.
I think that was a good idea. I'm glad you did that.
And the idea was that we would discuss mitigation, but we did not do that.
What are you talking about? Yes, we did. We brought up caching as an option. Told you were overthinking it as an option.
Discord.phpugly.com.
We suggested maybe you should become a better developer, or was I just thinking? I might have been just thinking that one. I don't know.
I'm kind of.
We're coming up on 500 subscribers on YouTube. That's crazy.
I'm kind of at the end of being a better PHP developer.
Sucks getting old, doesn't it?
It's fucking weird. It's real, and I don't understand why the concept of getting old hasn't hit Eric yet. Like, for some reason, we're younger than him, but we understand what being old is like better than he does. Hold on. Can he hear us?
Did you mute him?
I can't hear you. I can hear you.
If I mute him, you don't know what happens when I mute him.
I'm trying to find a good photo to use in our thumbnail here. I may have to make a photo. Yeah, let me make a photo real quick.
Man, dude, I got a doctor's appointment the day before my birthday. I'm gonna get a EKG. But
that's still better than what John went through.
I was working.
Did you guys talk about that last week? Was it last week? What was it last week?
Your name literally didn't come up, and I'm glad you listened to the show to know that.
I listened to I listened to the beginning.
He 100% did and called me out.
I listened near the end. I didn't listen to all that.
I'm worried. I'm worried about my heart.
You want to?
It's fucking bad.
Why is that?
We should have that fixed.
Because my daughter came home. I was working really hard and getting a lot of shit done, and my daughter came home and was just shitty, and I could like feel my heart, like my blood pressure. I could feel my blood pressure go up. And I'm like, fuck, this is not good. Kids, man. Teenagers. Please tell me, Eric, that like they're not all living with you still.
He got a bigger house so they'd have their own wings.
A little bit of an exaggeration there, but appreciate the thought.
Is it?
You get I saw your East Wing. You get the second floor West Wing.
So I'm gonna share some stuff with you. It's not gonna make me look good, but I will say
Nothing you have ever shared with us has ever made you look good. So don't feel bad about it.
we have a weird problem now where we lose track of each other in the house. Like we can't find each other. Fortunately, the house has an intercom system. When things get really bad, we can hit the intercom system. But today, Beck got back from the grocery store, and there's so many entrances into this house that I went out one entrance to help her with the groceries. She came in another entrance. This is all to the same vehicle that's parked in front of the house. She came into a different entrance, and we're wandering around trying to find where each other's at.
Marco Polo.
Yeah,
Yes.
it was very much like Marco
That's your
Polo.
that's your only solution.
Beck, so one of the really nice things about the new house is Beck and I have separate offices again. I mean, not that it was a problem sharing offices, it's just now she can work on Thursday nights if she wants to, and it's just nice to have each have our own space. But her office is up on the second floor. It's far enough away where she didn't have to walk to the kitchen at night. So she's got a refrigerator up there. She's getting a microwave. She's getting a coffee maker just because it's that far from the kitchen.
It's funny.
Yeah.
All right, I gotta go take my kids. So if you guys end before I get back, thanks everybody. Otherwise, I'll be back in a few minutes.
I'm gonna kill the stream. Thank you, everybody. Bye.
Bye, everybody.